Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal Podcast for Super Sentai Saikyou Battle Episode 3. I am Vashivi, and joining me today are...
Did it decade?
And Rye. Whew, it's been a couple of weeks of just Decade and High, so this is a bit of a breath of fresh air.
Which,
Definitely.
I apologize, I had a lot of personal stuff going on.
Totally understandable. It's just easier to talk about these things with more people to bounce ideas off of.
Which I
Yeah, for sure.
that.
So, we open with a quick recap. Takaharu / Guy Sorg hits Gokai Red with his finisher and just walks away. And of course, all Rita cares about is the gem gathering. And then we get the opening. Any thoughts, or should I just keep going?
Well, we knew Rita was evil and all she cared about was the gems.
Because they did absolutely nothing to hide that.
Honestly, it's the hero's fault for this.
Right, because every aspect of this just screams evil, from mysterious competition to the, random teleporting to a strange planet that happens to be called Nemesis. And it raised no red flags except for the two people that it raised red flags for. So yeah, everything about this just screams bad guy.
Yeah. So, Stinger hears footsteps approaching. It's his blaster ready, but it's Doggy Kruger. He recognizes the blaster and introduces himself, since they hadn't met before. He tells Stinger that they detected a strange magnetic field around the planet. Stinger says they noticed the same thing from his galaxy. And he's here to investigate.
Let's not overlook that. This thing is so evil and powerful, they noticed it in a different, universe. Or galaxy, as they state it. But, that's how far its reach is.
Yet nobody else noticed it. I understand, whole magic, not everybody would get it, but there's literally a fucking Sentai team whose entire power is fucking magic. If this reached another fucking dimension, I'm pretty sure the Magic Ranger should at least had some idea.
I think the whole thing is that this is like magic and technology or something. But, yeah, it's just plot purposes. So, Marvelous limps back to the room, but he collapses. Makes sense, since he's just been beat up this entire miniseries. Yamato wonders where Takaharu is. Kagero wonders what Marvelous's treasure is. Basically, what's his motive? Because now that they've established he's not a total jerk, they want to get deeper. So, Rita announces the next round of fights. Stinger shows Doggy that weird giant heart. It's probably the reason that communications are blocked. And Doggy brings up a good point that they can't summon their mechs as well. So Stinger shows him the strange symbols, glyphs that he found in the book that he picked up. And Doggy scans them, but it'll take a while to decipher. Then, grunts from a couple different series attack them. Stinger tells Doggy to find Yamato, and he stays behind. Thoughts?
This is just a neat little team up here, because you got two characters that work really well on their own because they just know what they're doing. And here they look at each other, go, we're on the same page, and then they continue to work on their own because they just know what they're doing.
Right. Like this worked out fantastically. Because like I said, it's like these are two characters who work perfectly on their own. Stick them together for a little bit, works great, and then we're gonna go do our own shit. And it still plays out really, really well. That and I really like these two people.
Yeah, it was a nice break from the whole tournament thing. Just get some detective work, and we even had a little Deck Ranger background music too, so it's nice.
Like the one thing bugged me with this was the fact of them trying to play off, oh look, you don't know who this is, when literally everybody watching this knows what the fuck Doggy Kruger's outfit looks like. Like they could have done so much better with the build up of the oh no, Stinger's gonna get caught.
Oh, right? It's like,
But it was literally
as soon
like,
as I saw it, it's like, oh, they're gonna not fight each other. Why would they fight each other?
right. It's like, and then I loved how much out of suit fighting there was with, especially with Stinger. There's something about watching his actor fight is fantastic.
And so Takaharu puts Guy Sorg's helmet back on since he got knocked off. And it's pretty obvious that it's Luca that's chained up nearby. Gokai Yellow, for those of you who haven't watched the show. So, View Ranger and Time Red win their fight, and then Rita teleports them, despite winning. Usually it's just the losers we see teleported, so I wonder what she's doing. Nothing good. Stinger handles the grunts, but then Guy Sorg attacks and knocks him out.
Sorry, Vash, can you go first?
I apologize. I'm dealing with some other stuff. We're pretty much just covering on Guy's work being Takaharu, right?
Yeah, and Luca being his prisoner. Or its prisoner.
I will admit that was something I wasn't expecting, because I wasn't here for the last podcast. I just kind of expected it to just be, oh, I'm just some guy who's learning other people's techniques by fighting them, which would have been a good play. But using this, it takes it on a unique turn, because now it's, well, who the, when Guys Work finds somebody else, who the fuck is it gonna be? I mean, we get that later on, but it's not what I was expecting for the character. And knowing that Luca's alive, because, well, anybody who thought a Sentai member is actually dead, beyond a few handful of series, has obviously never watched Sentai. Nobody stays dead forever.
There's like 6 canonically dead Sentai members.
Right, out of how many fucking hundreds?
Over 200.
And even now, it's like we literally had dead people come back to life. Granted, there was some wibbly wobbly timey wimey wishy bullshit, but it's happened. So having Luca tied up and knowing that she's somewhere on the planet, because hey, apparently she was inside the suit, because that makes the most logic. It's a nice play, and it actually goes well to show what Marvelous's treasure is. Because we've never really had it be that poignant for him. Because all through Sentai, it was, for his particular Sentai, it was, we're just gonna steal treasure. to get our ultimate wish, and then it kind of we have no idea what we're doing kind of thing. We're just gonna go look for more treasure, and now it's oh well, his team is his treasure. Oh, that's nice. It also puts his mood into perspective too. Also, look, they made Takaharu a badass for a moment.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to like skim through the episode real quick to refresh myself on this stuff. So the reveal that like it's a living armor makes sense. That explains why it knows the like movesets of other characters. The question is, what happens to the bodies it's abandoning? Which I guess we're gonna find out next episode. The whole thing reminds me of Kyoryuger, where one of the main villains was a living suit of armor who got stronger depending on who was wearing him.
And surprise, surprise, he was wearing a Sentai member.
He was wearing Kyoryu Gold, who joins the hero team after getting freed from the suit of armor. So this is kind of why I think that the Gaisorg armor might not be exclusive and might appear again in Kyoryuger, because not only does his design match the Sentai suits, but it fits in with that gimmick of they're playing off of Kyoryuger's popularity.
And if anybody needed proof of that, literally watch every scene in this where they appear. Literally fucking Kyoryuger. Just no dancing yet.
The build up to it's finally Kagura's turn to fight is really nice, because she hasn't done anything in the past 2 episodes. It's like, come on, let the kid fight for once. And like that, she's Doggy Kruger's opponent. Is like, wow, okay, that's a matchup.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in the opening, but yeah, let me just continue on the notes. So yeah, Doggy finds Marvelous and helps him back up. And then we get a little flashback to their crossover episode in Gokaiger when Doggy was actually injured, and Marvelous helps him despite being a prisoner, which is pretty great. So then they update the other two. They wonder who's putting the armor on people, because they don't know that the armor's alive yet. Doggy tells them about Stinger and his investigation. Their first move is to defeat Gaisorg and save Takaharu. And then the 4 join hands. It's pretty nice. So Rita announces the next fight. It's Kagura versus Doggy. They will draw out Gaisorg with an epic fight. So during the fight, Yamato asks Marvelous if he believes their wishes will be granted. Faith for a bit there, and Marvelous says basically that he's not gonna feed into his doubt. It says he'll fight him if he kind of loses his cool. It's kind of hard to translate that, to be honest, but it's still a pretty good scene. Thoughts?
Sorry, is this only like in the room when they're talking to each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of got my same points across, where, like I've been saying, it's just nice to see how the different Sentai members from different teams interact with each other. And this point really brings it together when they do the hand thing at the end, and Marvelous is like, yeah, he just kind of reluctantly joins in because, alright, this is the normal Sentai thing to do, I guess.
Like, and it's done really, really well. Marvelous has always been kind of a standoffish character, even through his own Sentai, when it came to interacting with other Sentai members. So, have seen him the way he is versus the way Yamato is, especially Yamato, in terms of interactions, they're essentially polar opposites. Because Yamato's more of he was more of one of the carefree kind of leaders until shit got real. Once shit got real, then it was I'm just gonna whoop some ass. So having that translated here works really really well. It's the one thing I've liked as much as I hate fucking Takaharu, mainly because I hate fucking Ninja. Even him in here is fantastic because you have that dichotomy of how each one interacts with the other, and it plays really really well. And this is a build up to an actually amazing fight. That and I did enjoy the flashback of Marvelous and Kruger. I really want to watch Gokaiger again now.
For sure. So we get kind of like a flashback to them game planning it. Doggy decides to lose to Kagura so that she can have her wish granted. Of course, he won't go easy on her and tells her to fight him with all her might. And she does. And we Tokuger opening. It's pretty fun. During the fight, she tells him that her family runs a restaurant and she wants basically. The writing was no weird, to be honest, but she wants to make a menu that makes families, people without families, and separated families happy. It's pretty childish, but I mean, it's nice. She is actually a child, even though it's been a couple of years. So yeah, it was pretty good, and of course she wins the fight. Any thoughts on that?
Like I was saying, it was good that she finally got her chance to fight, and it's really sweet seeing like what her dream is because, like you said, she's a literal child here. Uh, Especially since she's going up against one of the strongest Sentai members ever, and a character like her, like the shy, timid type, is normally considered some of the weaker members of their team. Uh, Goes to show just how strong her imagination really is. It was great to see like her take on a matchup like this and come through with it.
Like, and the fight itself was actually fucking amazing. And even before she did the whole imagination power up, she held her own pretty decently, all things considered. Though this episode specifically, because it had such a bigger focus on her, just made me wonder why the fuck she's not a kid. I get magic powers are involved here, but the last we saw them, they were children.
Hold on here. Tokuger, Ninja, Juoger, Kyuranger. Okay, so it's been 4 years. So if we assume that they were actually 10 years old, which they might have actually been younger, then that would put her at about 14. And the actress, while clearly older than that, is able to look kind of young enough to, like, you don't have to stretch your imagination too far.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
Like, she's clearly not 14, but like if I look at her, I can just kind of pretend that this is fine.
But yeah, it's like beyond that, it's like, and while yes, her wish is very childlike in nature, it's actually a good wish. I want to make everybody happy is essentially what it comes down to. Because even Kruger points out, it's like you don't need the menu for that. It's like it's not the menu you're wanting to wish for; it's the happiness. Which again, for her type of characters, a perfect wish. Even though by this point we're kind of well aware that the wish is bullshit, it's the MacGuffin that won't happen that got him there. Um, and then having Doggy Kruger basically throw the fight but not throw it. Because he went in the fight knowing that he would lose. Because that's how this fight was set up for him. And the fact that he still did give his all to it and lost says a lot about her imagination powers, and I feel his respect for what she wants. Because like Kruger said, he was just here to investigate. His job is done. So what's the point of him sticking around at this point beyond, I guess, furthering the plot a little bit more easier? But yeah, this was done really, really well, and I enjoyed having the fucking Tokuger music in the background.
Oh yeah, especially when she like charges into him
And
and
she's
she's
doing the
doing
train
the
thing.
railroad motion.
Yes, that was great. Between that and her swinging Hurricane Rana that she did was fantastic.
Most difficult part of watching this show is that no, not the most difficult. One of the difficulties of watching this show is explaining to people that one of your favorite ones is about trains.
Yeah, that's a hard one to do, especially when you point out that their train has a penis attack. Because I'm sorry, there's no that's all that was.
So, Doggy gives her his phone and some handcuffs to give to Stinger. Kagura gets the gem. Then Doggy disappears. And basically, off camera, Rita cuts the little cutesy act. You know, her voice gets deeper. And basically, she thinks she has enough gems. They don't even have to go into the final rounds of the tournament. So, Guy Sorg attacks. Kagura's knocked down. Then, Juo Eagle and Gokai Red rush in. Red is confident they'll beat him, and he's determined to protect their wishes. Kind of like a Fies moment, but it was pretty great. And the fight is even better. Get the Gokaiger opening. Guy Sorg is no match for them, and his helmet flies off. Surprise, surprise, it's Stinger. And then we just cut back to Rita for a second. She thinks that justice should just disappear from the galaxy. She would be happy if everything disappeared. And no, she's not saying this in her cutesy voice. She's, like, pissed off. So Stinger tells them that it's a living armor that is trying to become the strongest. You can actually see fragments of its memory while in the suit, and he saw Luca, but he doesn't know where she is. Kagura gives Stinger Doggy's, tools. And then they find out that Rita is summoning Ultimate Dai Satan, or Satan. It's basically a monster that can destroy the damn galaxy. Probably all galaxies, for that matter. Yamato tells Marvelous that they have to save his comrade first. Determined to find her, Marvelous puts on Guy Sorg's helmet. Thoughts?
So, after we get a Pink Ranger, holding her own and giving a really impressive fight, then we get immediately followed up with two Reds just tag teaming the shit out of Guy Sorg. Seeing Gokai Red again is just really great because of the Gokai changes into any other Ranger. Work really well for diversity and just giving you what you want to see. with, like other characters and how they act in this situation, as well as just the combination with Jewel Red, especially the finisher at the end there. As for Marvelous putting on the helmet, I see where he's coming from there. Still wasn't the smartest move, but, I'm sure it'll work out.
Like, Marvelous putting on the helmet shows, to me, it shows how much faith he has in Yamato, Kaguya, and Stinger basically being able to track him down to find out where Luca and Takaharu are. Again, still probably not the brightest idea on how to handle this, because considering there has to be an easier way, like, I don't know, following the son of a bitch. But other than that, it's like, watching Gokai Red and Yamato fight, it showcased some of the best bits of watching both of those Sentais. Because as much as I had a problem with Zyuohger for the overall story, the fights were always amazing. Some of the suits, not so much, but the fights in the story were pretty good, and those two together fighting just works really, really well, especially coming off of the Kaguya and Doggy fight. Can we bring up a small point? Why is Rita trying to summon basically the ultimate version of the fucking one that Rita Repulsa summoned?
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yes, because she summoned Satan at the end of fucking Zyuohger, or how the fuck Zyuranger.
Zyuranger. So yeah, Bandora in Zyuranger summons Satan. Not at the end, like somewhere in the middle. She like tries performing a ritual where she sacrifices children to do it. And this is what this Rita is doing is basically summoning an even stronger version of him.
Because if you're gonna have a big highlight thing, you've got to bring back a very old villain, apparently.
And name her after her American counterpart, because you can't forget the Americans.
I swear, this is all because that literally only is because of the fucking deal that Saban had. Which I guess Hasbro took over?
I don't know.
We'll find out. But yeah, I'm not really caring for that, but I guess whatever gets this particular portion over with. Mainly because I just want to see a giant mech fight. I want this to turn into a hodgepodge mech fight.
But they can't summon mechs.
They're gonna end up. Come on, let's be real. That barrier thing's gonna get taken care of next episode. It's the only thing that makes sense considering the fact, the whole preview of that Satan being gigantic.
Yeah, we will see. So, we get one last scene. Riso Green actually gets an invitation. Kinda late, but whatever. He gets teleported along with Black. Then another Risoger, out of suit, finds the orange power-up. I haven't looked too much at the cast, but I didn't recognize him.
So I'm just gonna help you out now. Gaisorg is not the 6th Ranger, but that doesn't mean he won't play a role. Wait, no, you mean the guy that won?
Yeah,
oh,
at the end. Confusing me. Yeah.
Okay. It would help if I was paying attention. Sorry, I'm a little tired. So yeah, I had the same thought as you did, that might be the 6th Ranger. I don't think they revealed the actor for him yet.
If they did, It's earlier than we usually get for that, mainly because we usually get them around episode 15.
Kyoryuger introduced Gold at episode 6.
Right, which I understand that, and I understand the similarities that this series is taking. But normally we don't get the extra member until like episode 15
Right.
or around there. So if that still ends up being the case here, then this is an excellent way to introduce him and show us the actor and all that without doing the reveals that they would normally get through social media and all of that. So if that ends up being the case, then that was a great play on Toei's and Bandai's part to kind of jump the gun so much to basically keep information from getting leaked. They just did we're just going to leak it now. Have fun when you find this out later. And yeah.
For Black and Green themselves, like I said before, like, hey, I think they might just be looking for their mechs underground here. And I still get that impression from what we saw here, especially since they didn't get teleported away until just now.
Like, that's a good thought. It may not be the mech themselves they're looking for, but the items to control or summon them. Which, again, we won't find out until either next week or the week after when Ryu Soldier actually starts. I do kind of like the fact that the story started 4 weeks early, even if it was just in little itty bitty bits. Mainly because it's a very unique situation. And it gives us a small taste of the characters, even if they are primarily in this case, all but that mystery one has been in suit.
For the episode overall, a lot of fun. I can't wait for the finale next Sunday. And then the start of a new Sentai. It's looking pretty good. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, this was a really good episode. Probably the best of all of them so far. So we'll have to see if the finale really kicks it off when we get the big team up together. And yeah, I'm curious about Ryu Soldier finally starting. We'll see how that goes.
Like, I had my doubts when this little mini-series started. I mean, it's still what it set out designed to be of, hey, look, we still have suits, and they look really pretty. It's been a good use of 4 weeks so far. While there's aspects of the story that are kind of really easy to guess how they're going to play out, it's done really, really well. The story is intriguing enough to continue being engaging and being drawn back to. And despite a couple of little flaws that just don't make sense, like why there are sometimes 3-on-3 battles, yet 1-on-1 battles, and that whole bracket system just doesn't make any fucking sense. It's fun to watch, if nothing else, and like I said, the little bits with the Real Soldiers is actually making me actually intrigued to watch it and to possibly give it enough credit to not be the same thing that we've already seen twice. So yeah, all in all, is like I actually really like this. Which I guess wraps up the podcast. Thank you all for listening. Real quick, I do want to say congratulations to everybody. I wasn't here for episode 200, which is a fairly big milestone for, at least for me. We will be back tomorrow with Kamen Rider Zeo. And then we have a new one on Thursday for Power Rangers Beast Morphers. It'll be the same time as these ones, 9 Eastern time. So I guess everybody can do their math for where their time zones are. But even that's shaping up to be fantastic. So yeah, check it. Feel free to check it out and like, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. I'm Vashy V. Thanking you all for joining us.
Yep, thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. See you next time.